It doesn't have to be Christmas time to enjoy fruitcake. These are little individual fruitcakes baked in muffin tins, and they're rich, moist and so easy to make. I like to top them with a little simple almond icing, but you could also use orange or lemon icing instead, and a little cherry on the top. They're perfect for morning or afternoon tea, and they keep really well in an airtight container for a few days. The recipe comes from a beautiful book I have called Particular Picnics, and this is by an Australian author, and it was published in around 1980. I think you're going to enjoy this one today, especially if you like fruitcakes. And this is how I do it. So I like to preheat the oven because it's a fairly quick cook to 170 degrees Celsius conventional, which is 150 degrees Celsius with a fan. But I like to use the conventional setting for this one because it's only one tray, and there it is now, preheated. So into a bowl, simply put 125 grams of softened butter, and then 100 grams of caster sugar, and cream that until it changes colour slightly and it's nice and smooth and creamy. And if your butter is soft, that takes less than 2 minutes. Then I take 2 room temperature eggs, and with a fork just lightly beat them, and add these to the sugar and butter mixture, along with 125 grams of currants and 125 grams of sultanas. Now, I've also used in the past mixed fruit, and that works really well. If there's any big cherries in it, I just cut them into smaller pieces like quarters or something. But today I'm using currants and sultanas as the recipe states. And then mix these in. And then I sift in 125 grams of flour, and that's gluten-free flour because they work lovely, with no additions, just the gluten-free flour. And if you're not gluten-free, regular flour. 2 teaspoons of baking powder. Now, there's no spice in this recipe, but I like to put a little bit of mixed spice in. And if you can't get mixed spice, you can put cinnamon or nutmeg. And I just put a teaspoon of mixed spice, or you can make it your own and put whatever spice you like ground ginger, cloves, or none at all. The recipe actually has none. And then I sift this into the mixture. Add 1 tablespoon of milk, and then just mix it all together. And that's it. That's how easy the little fruitcakes are. I have a 12 muffin tin here, and because mine are well used, I like to grease them with butter and then a little bit of flour, or you could just use spray oil. But I think greasing a tin with butter and flour is the safest way that they don't stick. A little bit of flour in each one. Then I'll take it over the sink to shake it all out. Only fill these up like halfway, evenly, because you don't want them to rise above the muffin tin because they sort of spread out. But if you do it like this, they'll just rise to the surface, so about 1/2 to 3/4 fill. But this amount of mixture will make a perfect 12 little cakes. So these cook for about 15 to 18 minutes. I'm going to put them in for 18 minutes. And then I'll have a clean up, and then I'll make the almond icing. Now, the recipe doesn't include icing, but I really love the little bit of icing on these little cakes. It adds just another layer of flavour, and they look so pretty. Now, I usually make icing by eye, but I've measured it today for you, so I don't give the wrong measurements. So that's 225 grams of icing sugar, and you can use pure icing sugar or icing sugar mixture. And I like to always sift the icing sugar because that gets rid of any lumps and makes the next bit of mixing it really quick. And then I add a tablespoon of soft butter, and I like almond icing. Now, if you don't like almond icing, add a tablespoon of lemon juice if you want lemon icing, and if you want orange icing, add the juice from an orange, well enough to make it nice and smooth. So maybe half an orange. But for the almond icing, I add 1 teaspoon of almond extract. And I've got 2 tablespoons of milk here. I might need a little bit more. Maybe just a drop more milk. So that was probably 3 tablespoons of milk in total. And that's nice now. And the other thing I like to put on top is a glacé cherry. And what I do is I wash them and I dry them so they're not so sticky. So that's ready for the decoration. I just have to wait for the cakes to cook. So these have had 18 minutes and they feel cooked. I'm just going to put a skewer in to test one and it comes out clean. So I'll just leave them just for a few minutes just to cool down a little bit, and then I'll transfer them to a wire rack to cool completely. That's just been like 3 or 4 minutes, but I can handle the tin, and I'll just check that nothing is sticking to the sides. Looks good. Then I'll take the wire rack and turn this upside down, and they should all fall out if it was greased well. Yes. Now they're absolutely delicious just like this, and so good warm. But I'm going to wait till they cool down to put the little bit of icing on them. So they've been cooling for about 20 minutes and it's time to ice them. So I'll just give my icing a stir. If your icing has hardened up, just add a tiny little bit more milk or water. And using a knife or a spoon, just spread a little bit of that icing over the top. And they look a little bit like plum puddings. And if you want the icing to dribble down a little bit, just make it a little bit runnier. Or put it on them when they're still slightly warm. And, you know, there's a bit of icing left over. And now the crowning glory, a little glacé cherry. And you can chop it in half or put a whole one on top. They look super cute this way, I think. There you go. Thank you so much for watching. I think you're really going to enjoy this recipe. They're just so quick and easy and really lovely. And now I'm going to sit down and enjoy one. Hopefully I'll see you again soon.